Why do we stutter?
That we stammer because of two things. One, the very first thing is because sometime when we were children or later on in life, we developed certain habits that made us believe that we cannot speak. The second thing, and I think that second reason is as important, is that we care about the opinions of others. So for example, in my case, if I care about what people are gonna think if I block, or if I sound different, even though I may not sound different, that is when I block.
Since I started the StopStuttering program, my life began to change. I am starting to love speaking, and that's something I never imagined before. To everyone who stutters, you deserve to feel confidence. You deserve of experience expressing yourself, because every human being deserves that. And about question of Coach Lee, I think because stuttering it's bad habits. Our mind believe that we do it a lot and many years, and that's stuck in our minds.
For me, when I started stammering, very young, age 4 or 5, the memories I have are of children laughing at me in the classroom, which I'm sure many others had, and as well certain adults giving out to me for not speaking correctly. The fear of stammering after a couple of years, I think, becomes the ultimate problem. When the snowball has grown so big, it's really hard then to break it down.
So I can say from my experience point of view, no one in my family has this issue. And as I was told by my parents when I was growing, and still I was maybe 5 years or 4 years old, I used to play with a boy next to our place, and he has this issue. And they say that in those beginning years, it's probably you picked up this way of speaking. So that is all I can relate to. And as we know that after that, when I went to school, there were bad incidents and people laughing. So those kept on increasing. And so they kept on increasing to a point where I became very mute. I won't speak. But then gradually, when I grew up, I came out of lot of situations. Earlier, phone calls used to be struggle. I came out of that. In the group meetings, 3, 4 people, I came out of that. So I am in my last fluency step, I would say, which are big meetings like 20, 40 people in the room and in the Zoom and all. So that is my last step.
Why do I stutter? Why did I stutter? My father stuttered at probably 1 or 5% of his words. I don't know whether I was trying to imitate him. And I had a cousin, Linda, and a sister, Laura. They were a bit older than me. And like Tara said, they made fun of me all the time. So I think I just developed the habit. So Linda and Laura made fun of me all the time. And I was a smart person, a perfectionist, so that contributed more to my stutter because I wanted to be perfect, but I, of course, was not perfect because of the stutter. But I just kept stuttering then. So, but now, thanks to Coach Lee and the 1, 2, 3 punch, I can speak anywhere, anytime, any word. Thank you all for listening to my Linda and Laura story.
So the main thing I believe to stutter is fear. Fear, the drive to us, to our speech is very bad and not speaking at all. We believe we can speak, so that the belief make us our speak worse. So the main reason is fear.
I started stuttering when I was 15 due to trauma. And life was great prior to 15. I just started I couldn't speak, could not talk. So I actually got into therapy, and it helped with what happened, but my stammering, it did not. So anyway, I would definitely say I stuttered. I started due to fear. I still don't know what caused it. To this day, I don't know.
Perfectionism. Like, we're scared to look weak. It's simple as that. We're scared to look weak. Like, from the day we come out of our mother's womb to right now, we're constantly bombarded with advertisements and people telling us that we're no good. Oh, you're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You're not rich enough. You're not tall enough. You're not this. You're not that. You're not blah, 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 blah. Just every day. And like, that's the whole point of advertising, is to make us feel like crap, so we buy products to feel better. Simple as that. Like, it's not even our fault. Like, it's the way society is programmed for us from the get-go. All right. And the great thing about this program, it's a neuroscience-based program. So what are we doing? We're essentially reprogramming our mind to ignore all that noise, all that distortion out there. And that's all it is. It's distortion. You know, like, that's why they say like prayer and meditation are so like important, because you don't hear that noise anymore. And for a few minutes, you have some clarity. And guess what happens? When you have clarity, hey, my life's not so bad. I'm not so bad. I'm not so ugly. I'm not so short. I'm not so whatever, fill in the blank. All right. So the whole point of this program is to reprogram our brain, use these crutches, read out loud, create more fluency memories. And we use those fluency memories like a bank account, like it's a deposit into our memory bank. And then over time, it's going to have compound interest, and it's going to be paying for itself, dividends. And then you'll be fluent. And then guess what? Once you're fluent, you still have problems. All right. It's not going to solve all your problems. Okay. But it will solve a big problem. Fun fact, like, when I became fluent, my mom didn't care. My dad didn't care. But I cared. And it meant the world to me. And because of that, I was able to carry myself around with some dignity for a change, versus being slumped over and scared and timid. So that's what this program can offer. So fear, it's just unnecessary noise and feedback. Anyways, I'm done. Someone else talk now.
Ooh, yeah.
Some great points there. I see that Vish has some comments as well about fear.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Noah. So, yeah, I would say whenever we speak, and it is not only for us who have speaking challenges, but for any speaker, when he or she is speaking to a group of 20, 30 people, we are always conscious that we are speaking to a group. Will I speak good? Will I speak that is smart? Will the audience think that this guy is really presenting some meaningful material? Or audience will say, this guy is there wasting our time. So I would say fear is natural, and it is the way you cope up with the fear that is the main thing.
Fear is being brought by thinking about stuttering. So I think I fear it because it's constantly in my mind.
I think that we have a kind of trauma that triggers stuttering. And then we talked about the fear and collecting bad memories. And for this reason, we continue to stutter. So I was thinking, if we have a trauma and we just don't do anything, and people do not laugh, or we just don't care about the others, stuttering could just disappear, maybe.
I think we stutter because we associate speech with anxiety. However, normal speaker, they don't associate speech with anxiety. Of course, they become anxious, but they don't stutter. Why? Because they don't associate the speech. But we do, right? So that is one reason why we stutter. And most of the time, I feel that we hold back our emotions. So that could also be why we stutter. And we also try to be perfectionist, like we pick on each and every stumble that we make, and then we remember that in case if a stutterer has a memory loss, I don't think they will ever stutter again, because they just flushed out all the bad incidents from their memory. So I think remembering that at that situation, I stuttered on that specific word. Remembering that reinforces fear. I mean, reinforces the stuttering memory the next time we speak the same word. And that's why we anticipate stuttering well in advance, which leads to fear.
So I think there's definitely a genetic component to it. I think we have enough research that can support this claim. And we have enough examples in this group as well where people's parents have stuttered and other members in people's families have stuttered. But I do understand that genes can be modified as we grow. They are affected by our environment, our personality. And we can see from the hundreds of success stories within this program itself that stuttering can be cured or rather replaced by fluent speaking. Like even in my example, people used to say, "Why do you speak like that? Why are you talking so fast? Just slow down." And you become self-aware of that. You become self-conscious of that. And as you get older and you hear more and more comments, that has the compounding effect, as Steve just mentioned. And that leads to more stuttering. And the only way you can really tackle it is to remove that fear. Because I think we've all heard that stuttering is more about the fear or the anticipation rather than the repeats or blocks themselves. So the only way we can actually get rid of it is to reduce that fear, that inferiority complex that we experience as stutterers, that people judge us so much. But I think the important thing to realize is that people have their own problems. They don't give anything about us. They don't really care about us at all. And once we understand that, we can beat it.
My stuttering came from being I was very anxious, and that was the root cause of it. And then that transformed into stuttering, and then that transformed into the bad habit, which obviously I then stopped. But that is my answer to Lee's question.
Well, for me, it all began because I would overthink a lot. Everything in my life that I would used to do, I would try to make it as perfect as possible. It's not only about my speech, but everything else in between, including a simple action like, well, eating. Can you believe it? When I would used to eat with my family, and if my mother, let's say, was just smiling at me, I would be so overthinking. I would wonder, why is my mom smiling at me? Like, oh no. And can you believe it? It got to such an extreme level that I could not eat food for half of my life. Yet, can you believe it? Only because of overthinking. I was afraid of eating my food. And it was the same thing for how I got this issue. I would overthink my words when I would say anything. And if I would like mispronounce a word, and I would wonder that, oh no, I mispronounced a word. Now what will others will think about me? All right? And I began to overthink so hard that not only have I got this issue now, but I got many other issues, like not able to eat, not able to sleep, so many more along the way. But after I joined within this program, I did the 1, 2, 3 punch. I followed the neuroscience method. I learned that the only opinion of me that matters is my opinion of myself. And I do not need to care or worry about any other's opinion. And all of those problems of eating, sleeping, and disfluency all went away. All because of this program. I am forever grateful to Coach Lee and everyone in this program, and thanks you all of you.
Yassine, you are brilliant. You're one of the smartest people I know. I know you're 12 or something like that, but you are so intelligent. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it's your opinion of yourself. That's the only opinion you've got to, everyone here needs to focus on that. What is your opinion of yourself? Well, most of us think we're inferior, we're, as Steve said, too tall or too short or too something. But the fact of the matter is, if we're doing our best at what we do and being loving people, we have a good reason to hold our head up high. And we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make speech mistakes too. And that's fine. But we have to have, and we deserve, if we're doing bad things, we don't deserve to have a good opinion of ourselves. But if we're not doing bad things, we do. And so everybody here needs to have a good opinion of themselves, and the speech will follow along. Speech is just one manifestation of what we're thinking. So, Yassine, great job. Your opinion of yourself. Everyone here needs to work on that. And I'm so glad you have and that you're doing it. God bless you, man. You're doing it.
So I would say that to answer the first question, why do we stutter? I think I've been hearing a lot of common answers. I would say we pick it up somehow as a child, adolescence. There's a bunch of different ways that we pick it up. And then from there, it just becomes a habit. So that's my opinion. Obviously, just like anything, you could break habits. It takes time. It takes practice, determination. And then the other question is, why do we fear? I mean, fear is a human thing. It's a human feeling. It's a, human emotion that we have fear. I think it's a very natural thing. And then, the more we fear to speak because, the more we speak and the more we stutter, especially when we don't fix it, when we mess up, it kind of makes us fear to do it again. And so we just have to, everybody in this program has to, do their due diligence, read the book, practice crutches. and just kind of tackle this issue. And I think everything that fear will slowly start to dissipate. And like everyone's been saying also about the perfectionist thing, don't try and talk perfect. Lee mentions that in his book. And so I think we're all on the right track.
Yeah, so I think for me, when I was younger, probably like in elementary or middle school, I really wanted to like shrink in like social situations. So I was very uncomfortable with taking up space. And I guess if you think about it, like talking is an act of taking up space because everyone is listening to you and what you have to say. And you are directly like influencing the environment with your voice. And I guess for me, as like a self-conscious adolescent, I was very uncomfortable with that. So I tried to rush through a lot of my interactions and I tried to say things like as quickly as I possibly could just to get out of the speaking situation. And that eventually turned into the bad habit of stuttering because I was stumbling over my words as I was talking really fast. And so I feel like a large component of it was really mental and really being concerned about others' opinions. But as Yassine mentioned earlier, the only opinion of you that matters is your opinion of yourself. And so I think that's really important to like keep in mind, especially as a stutterer.
I would say that, most children have a stuttering habit or just a stammering, most children don't speak fluently, right? From the age of 2, 3, 4, whatever. And I think the reason why many of us on this group chat hadn't necessarily overcome this fluency issue is because of our early developmental years. I think something happened there, whether it was, trauma or whatever, like something happened there to kind of like, I would say like stunt our confidence. Most children need confidence. They need the environment. They need parents to reassure, their comfort and things like that. And if you don't get that, in the worst case scenario, if you get the opposite, right? If you get laughter, ridicule and things like that, it can even make it worse. So I think overall stuttering is a lack of confidence, assurance, comfort. You're just holding back. You're afraid to, express yourself. And that's what I would say. And the fear comes, right along with that. I think I put a note here why we fear. The fear is there because of lack of trust in the environment.
I agree with just everything everybody has said. It's been bringing on a lot of emotions, actually, because I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, and there's levels to it. Maybe a traumatic moment, and then maybe you start to overthink, and then next you form a habit trying to fix what you see as an issue. And then the subconscious and trust kind of dissipates, right? So how do you get that trust back? That's the next level. Well, maybe the first step is a lack of knowledge. For me, a big thing is like you're grasping in the dark, trying to grab anything, but you don't have there's no information out there. There's nothing to read. And you're getting a few books maybe here and there that people have gotten over it and they don't even know what they did. So when I found out and I started to put the pieces together, the information, it helps so much. But then, like I said, the next steps kind of come in. Well, the fear and anxiety, they're so strong that it's hard to trust yourself. It's hard to, it's just like everybody else said, really, there's so much different levels to it. And each one is really tough, and I think it comes down to your conscious and your subconscious, really.
We have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that those lines, those words have echoed down through history and they're still repeated even now. And it's really true. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. And Noah, thank you for a good job today. I've enjoyed listening to everybody here. I always learn from you. The student is the teacher.
And with that, it's time to close our meeting. I hope that you enjoyed exchanging thoughts with ex-stutterers and those fast becoming ex-stutterers. I will now end with our motto. Feel free to say it along with me. If you can say one word, anywhere, anytime, you can say and love to say any word, anywhere, anytime. Until next Saturday, everybody. Have a great
Have a
weekend.
great weekend.